Hello everyone, it's finally time for a new Olympian Nights devlog. So a lot has happened since the last one. I've re-added Zeus and Hades, and added a few new cool abilities, added the first real map, and luckily the Unity situation also got better. So regarding the Unity situation, they have changed it so that the runtime fee will only apply for games made with newer Unity versions, starting with the one coming 2024 I think. And the runtime fee will also be capped to 4% royalty, which is something I can accept. So I'm still not happy about how they announced all that in the first place, but I'll definitely continue with Olympian Nights and Unity, and yeah, future games I'll have to see. Okay, one pretty major thing I changed with the networking. The game now works with both standard UDP and Steam networking, meaning that if you choose the Steam networking you won't have to do port forwarding and stuff like that for hosting a server, which I think is really convenient for a lot of players. So adding Steam networking was initially not that much of a problem, considering Riptide, which is the networking I'm using, has a Steam transport, but there were some roadblocks with getting Steamworks.net working with IL2C++, but luckily I got that figured out. And in the future I'll try to make it so that you can host servers in-game, so that players don't have to run the server as a separate instance of the game anymore. However, that would require some pretty big changes. The next thing I did was implementing the match manager system, so basically the match manager is the logic that in my game controls game modes in the states of the game modes, and I made a system quite modular, which was a huge pain in the ass to get working at first, but now it's a lot easier to implement new game modes and stuff like that, so it was definitely worth it. So the game modes I added for now was a 1v1 mode, for now I just called it Showdown, that will definitely change, then a 4v4 team deathmatch mode and a free-for-all deathmatch mode. And of course a sandbox mode where no match timer is present and the game just continues forever. I then did some pretty big changes to the map so that you can now actually call it a map and not just a test map. I made some houses in Blender, added some props from an asset, added this statue, placed some trees, then of course adjusted the terrain and water a bit, and I think it turned out pretty nice. I then changed the loading screen so that it displays a random picture from the map, and I will of course add more maps in the future, but this one will do for now. I also finally got Poseidon's freeze ability working, so that it actually freezes the player and the player can't move while being frozen. And I made animations for Zeus and finally re-added him to the game as well, and later also Hades, although Hades for now uses Poseidon's animations, but he will also get his own animations in the future. For Zeus I re-added the forward lightning ability, which is basically kind of like a push, just with lightning effects. Later I added the ability Thunder Call, where Zeus shoots lightnings into the sky, causing the sky to get cloudy, and while doing that he can mark a place on the map where a big lightning will strike. And if a player gets hit by that lightning, he will get thrown into the air. So far this is one of my favorite abilities, just because it really looks cool, but it actually also is a somewhat strong ability, considering it gives you 90% damage reduction while you're in the ability animation, and the lightning is also unblockable. But in return it's pretty easy to dodge the lightning, but of course Zeus can try to predict where you'll dodge, so it's an interesting ability I would say. I then made a weapon spin animation and added it as an ability. And this is actually the first ability in the game that you can actually cancel. The ability gives you also I think 50% damage reduction, deals a lot of damage and drains stamina fast, and even gives you auto parry while the spin is active. But of course you can't really move fast while the spin is active. For Hades I re-added his Unleashed ability, where he basically just slams his Bident, I think it's called, into the ground and causes a shockwave, which is blockable though. I also had to rewrite the ability manager, cause it was super buggy, often abilities wouldn't recharge, or you could use an ability while it was on cooldown, but now the ability manager finally seems to work pretty nicely. I now also added map boundaries, pretty much like in Battlefront 2, where you get notified that if you're leaving the boundaries, you have 10 minutes to return, otherwise you get eliminated. But here, if you stay out of bounds for too long, you don't just die, but you get hit from a laser from the sky, which I think is a lot cooler. One thing I almost forgot is I now also added proximity voice chat, so you can now hear your opponent raging in real time. But you can of course also mute players if you don't want to listen to that. Okay, I think that pretty much covered all the important things since the last devlog. The next things I'll do is add more abilities for Hades and another ability for Hecate. By the way, let me know if you have some cool ideas for abilities for those two. I thought maybe some movement affecting abilities would be nice. And Hades should maybe also have a weapon throw, but maybe a slightly different one than the one Poseidon has. By the way, if you want to become an alpha tester for the game, just message me on Discord or in the YouTube comments, whatever, and I'll probably give you a key. And also don't forget to wishlist the game on Steam, it helps a lot. Anyways, thank you all for watching, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!